up YouTube. Look, so this video is more about an origin story. So I'm gonna get into how to start your business. I'm gonna get into what it takes and some of the nuances and all that type of stuff. But I got to give you the origin story first, right? Because you got to understand that when you're trying to open a business, I don't care if it's a gym, trucking business, whatever it is you're trying to get into, it's gonna be some struggles, some trials, gonna be a lot of different things that's happening. And if you're not really rooted in what it is you're trying to do, you're not gonna be successful, right? And so I want to make sure that you get like real information because I know there's a lot of videos out there and they're fishing and they're throwing out traps or whatever just to get you to watch the video, and they don't really give you any information. So I'm gonna make sure I'm always straightforward with you. But before I do tell you how to start your gym, I want to tell you why I started my gym, my journey, and maybe somewhere along those lines, something that you hear you might be able to relate to, and then be able to use that for yourself, right? And so let me just take you back, out to the point where I was a child. So I came from an environment where my grandmother raised me. My mother had me young. My father was in and out of prison, so my background, well, it wasn't too stable, but it was stable because of my grandmother, and she pretty much gave me everything that I needed as far as mental strength, physical strength, everything I needed. She made sure I had. So I won't say I came up from nothing because I did have something. I had that support from my grandmother. But within that, of course, you don't have a true structured home. So as a young man, you try to find yourself, especially men, we try to find ourselves physically. And one way I was able to do that was through football and other sports. But playing football, you have to develop yourself. You got to have strength training and things of that nature. Well, in my situation, we couldn't afford to drive out to all the different places and get all the specialized training and stuff like that. So it was around the age of between 10 and 12. I always say 12. I can't remember exactly, but between 10 and 12 is when I built my own weight set, my first weight set. And what I did was I took some crates, milk crates at that time, for whatever reason, milk crates were like abundant. So I took these milk crates and I laid and stacked some out and put some plywood on top. That was my bench. Had old like sticks from mops that my grandmother had and things of that nature. I would take the sticks, I would stick those inside of milk crates, and I would stack the milk crates with rocks and water jugs, whatever I could find to fill them up with, to use that as my barbell and my weights. Right? Didn't care how much it weighed, as long as it was some resistance and I could curl it or I could press it or I can press it overhead, bench press, whatever it took. That's what I did. Right? And then also locally, there was a basketball court that we used to go to, right around the street. Forest Hill, Texas. It wasn't too developed, but it also wasn't too underdeveloped. So there were certain things around, but nothing major. So what I would do was I would go to the basketball court around the street, around the corner from my house. But that path to get there, there was like tall grass always. For whatever reason, the city never cut it or whatever the case may be. And I was always have to go through that grass to get to the court. And so that grass was the same grass I would use when I wanted to do my sprints and so forth. And not knowing, I was in the grass doing high knees, things of that nature, which translated to football, which helped me become one of the top rushers in the area at the time, averaging 8.5 yards a carry. But again, it was just that they have what's called a SAID principle, right? Specific adaptation to impose demand. Well, I adapted to the environment I was in, right? And that adaptation ended up leading to me being a better running back. But so I was being innovative, right? Not even knowing it. But I would go and I would play basketball, get some cardio in, athletic movements and so forth. And so that kind of was like, my daily journey in a sense as a youth, finding, street football, things of that nature. So with that background and having that in me already and being able to be innovative, I already had that. So fast forward, you pass high school and going into college. When you get to college, of course, you're supposed to know what you want to do and things of that nature. When I first got to college, I started out with my degree plan in technology management, first and foremost, because I did have an innovative mind. I used to invent things when I was little. I invented a thing called Mailbox Max and things of that nature. So I had a inventive type of mindset anyway. And so I started out technology management, but I didn't understand how 18 credit hour load was going to impact school and football at the same time, right? And so I had to kind of navigate through that for a semester too. And then I ended up switching to one that was more conducive for football, which is kinesiology, right? Health and human performance is what I ended up getting my undergrad and my graduate degree in, right? And so within that, I remember telling one of my teammates, I mean, I don't want to be a PE teacher. It's not no disrespect to PE teachers, but I didn't see top level PE teachers, so I didn't want to be a PE teacher. I wanted to be something more than that. And I think PE teachers are necessary, right? But my mindset wasn't there yet because I didn't have the vision to be able to go into a school and create a curriculum and be a part of a district and lead it that way. So that wasn't my mindset. So along the path of, getting my degree, my undergrad degree and so forth, I decided I was going to be a coach, right? And so I got into coaching and different nuances of coaching and so forth, but ultimately became a strength conditioning coach, right? And so kind of got out here in the world, started training at different locations, started asking around the city, who's hiring, things of that nature. I did the your normal box gyms, things of that nature. It didn't work out. Your corporate gyms didn't work out. And so along that path, did a couple internships and just kept on grinding, kept working, kept working. And I finally met my mentor here in Dallas. And my mentor gave me the vision of how you can actually start your own business and be successful. And his business isn't, a big business. It's literally probably a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot building at most. I'm gonna say 2,000 with some additional space outside. And so when he started his business, obviously he started from what he had, and it's not extravagant, but I watched him grow within the community, clients within that community, day in day out, just working, working, working. And you start to see how people, it doesn't matter what you have or what you don't have, as long as you're a genuine person, as long as you give the results and do what you're supposed to do, keep your word, they'll come. And so I saw him build his business like that. And at the same time, I was doing internships. I was working at Dick's Sporting Goods as a footwear lead and manager and things of that nature. So I was still working, but at the same time, I was still working on me too. So I ended up getting a job at D1 Sports. So I ended up getting a job at D1 Sports. And at the time, they only had like low-level coaching positions. So I took the low-level coaching position. I was coaching one class a day, basically, and I was tossing trash at night, working for a company that we would, go to apartment buildings, go door to door, pick up trash, and toss it for them, right? So literally, trash man and the coach at the same time. And there was a situation that happened when I was tossing trash that made me start focusing on coaching more. I was going up flight of stairs, picking up trash as normal. I had a trash bag on my shoulder coming down the stairs, and something drips from the trash bag into my face and into my mouth. It's don't know what was in the bag still to this day. Don't care to know, right? But I just know that was it for me. And so I knew that this is not going to work. Not that I won't be a trash man again if I ever had to, but at the moment I had enough drive and willpower to say, like, this is not it. So I went to work. I started grinding at work, started getting my clientele up. And then a couple of things happened within the business to where I ended up becoming the head coach of that facility, right? And so I became the head coach of that facility, and I started to see that, okay, the community is building, the athletes are coming, and like I really understood, like, hey, this is what I'm here for, right? So I continued to work day in, day out, continue to work. I was doing all my leadership stuff outside of the gym, all those different things. And so I was building and building and building, but I was doing it with a genuine mindset of I'm here to make people better, right? I'm here to make people better. It had nothing to do with if I was going to open my own gym or not, because at this time I wasn't even thinking I'm about to open my own gym. No, I was thinking I'm about to change as many lives as possible, and I'm going to do it within the strength of what I have, right? I had been through so much in life and so many different trials, tribulations. I knew, like, hey, I'm going to focus on this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it. Right, so here now, I started this journey in 2003. So 2003, when I switched over in 2001 and 2002, I switched my major over. I immediately started coaching. I already knew how to train myself. I had been doing that since a youth. Started training other people. Me and one of my teammates, who was my brother, we started training people in college. So 2003, fast forward to now 2025, you're talking 21 years or so of work, 21, 22 years of working in the industry and learning how to do a craft. Of course, you're going to have a certain mindset of, hey, I'm going to make sure that everything I do is at a certain level. And so that's what I did. So again, I was at D1. I was head coach there. Some things were happening. And I ended up taking another job, moving from head coach there to head coach and general manager at another facility up north of Dallas in a city called Allen, right? So I'm in Allen. I'm working in Allen. I'm building this company up. I'm doing what I can do, building the community, starting all the way back over from the beginning again and starting to grow. And then I get a call from Michael Johnson Performance. And at that time, they had combine and pro day training. So I was working those two jobs at the same time. Working those two jobs at the same time. And what ended up happening was I got a call from my I guess boss, if you want to call it, lack of better words, right? And he heard that I had been developing some stuff at the gym. Cool, okay, no big problem. But what I had been doing was at that time I started to see that I can manage a gym and I can run my own gym, because stepping into the general manager role is different from coaching. And it's still to this day two different things, and I struggle with those two now that I have my own building. But I started to realize, like, hey, I can do this. I can do my own thing. So I started developing my logo. I started branding. Right, I started pushing out the athletic zone and so forth. And within that, I started to search for different buildings and so forth within a certain community, which is where we are right now. And so he caught wind of that, and then he asked me, he was like, "So, I know you're building your business. I heard what you're doing down there, and my question to you is, do you want to be here and help us build, or do you want to do your own thing?" And I chose to do my own thing. It was one of the hardest things I had to do. I had a guaranteed $40,000 salary plus whatever PTs I was making and whatever else I could build on the side, right? Plus I had the MJP, which was paying, pretty decent seasonal work because it was combine training and so forth. So I had, I was comfortable and I was able to do certain things, but I didn't have ownership and it wasn't mine. And so, like I said, he asked me the question and I gave him the answer. I'm gonna do my own thing, right? So I finished out my term there. lost my salary, lost that position. I still had my combine seasonal training, which I still end up doing even the year after, right? But at the time, losing that salary, all my income is gone. And these people are, 40, 45 minutes away with the relationships I built. So they're not going to drive, for the most part, 45 minutes to go train. And so what I had to do, I had to start all over again. Starting all over again right here in West Dallas, where my wife grew up. So this particular area we was like dear to us because we know the area. It would be similar if I went back home. And so we knew that we wanted to be in this area, but in this area, it wasn't really anything going on as far as fitness like that. You might have had a couple boot camps here and there, but nobody really wanted to invest in this area, put a gym here other than my mentor who's, a few miles away, but he's not necessarily in West Dallas. He's in another area. It's a little bit, a lot better, obviously. And the clientele he has is a lot different clientele, but nobody wants to be right here. But my mindset was, you know what, I can make it work. So this gym that you see behind me was just an empty shell. It was a warehouse, concrete, bare bones, no lights, nothing at all, right? And so what I ended up saying was, you know what, I can make this work. I can make it work. I had to intuition and innovation in my mind, enough innovation in my mind that I could make this work. So although it was a blank slate, I could see like how we could make it work. One thing I had done in the past was boot camps outside all over the city. I did boot camps at farmers market, boot camps at parks, you name it, we did boot camps there. Boot camps at movie theaters, parking lots. We did it, right? And so what I was able to do was see like if I'm able to build somebody else's business, because I was working for one of the top boot camp companies out. If I'm able to build their business outside and people showing up and being accountable there, why wouldn't they do the same thing, at a location that's, actually covered? You don't have to worry about the weather, all those environments and so forth. I can do this. And that was my confidence builder. So again, going all the way back to the child, knowing that I can build my own way, said, okay, let's take that to a higher scale. Maybe it's going to take a little bit more capital and cash at some point. Let me at least try. Because what's the worst that can happen? I can fail. Okay, but at least I try and I'm a no. So we did that. And so that was, 2018. We decided to make that jump, left the job, came down here to West Dallas, decided to build this gym, knowing that how important it could be for the community. I'm in one of the communities where um, uh, uh, blood pressure, high blood pressure rates are pretty high here, which was hypertension, right? Diabetes, all these different, diseases, so-called, are here in this community. So how can I come into the community, which I consider my community, make a difference and do it on a big scale? Well, I'm gonna have to start low first. I'm gonna have to start low, start with the families that I know, word of mouth, things of that nature. So that's how we started. We started, you know, doing word of mouth, getting people through the door, doing boot camps, stuff like that, getting people moving, and we got it going. Now, as far as finances and capital, I had a client that I was training. He was like, man, how much do you need to get the building? I said it was XYZ. I'm already training you. Here's a forward on the training, basically. Use that money, get the building. That's what we did. And then in order to outfit it, we couldn't buy weights like that because, again, he's talking about leaving a salary job, not getting a bank loan, nothing like that. So this was, all us pretty much. And so in order to get the turf, I had to reach out to one of the athletes I was training at the time, help me get the turf. And there you go. We got the building, we got the turf. And that was the beginning of what you see now. So that origin story, hopefully somewhere within that, there's something that you see that you can relate to, because you don't have to have an abundance of money. You don't have to have, bank relationships and so many years of doing business to get started. It's really about just doing it. And so if I could do it, I know you can. And on the next video, I'm going to go into more detail on the business side of it. But I want to at least get you going, at least give you an understanding of what it takes as far as the right mindset to get going, right? And as long as you got the right mindset, you got some support, you most likely you can be successful. And the scale that you decide to go on is going to be the scale that you decide to go on based off what you see and what business you have, not based off of what you want to do for anybody else or trying to impress anybody else, right? And so hopefully I'm able to help you with that as we're going on this journey. All right, it's Coach D. Make a way, make an excuse.